That's far too many of you now. You know we got to find a way, to bring some love.
When Marvin Gaye released What's Going On in 1971, the world wasn't ready for it. Sure, he was already a Motown superstar, with hits like I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Ain't No Mountain High Enough under his belt. But this song, it wasn't just another chart-topping hit. It was a soulful cry for peace, unity, and justice, a musical masterpiece that defied every commercial expectation. Today, more than 5 decades later, What's Going On is experiencing a resurgence. You'll hear it on TikTok, soundtracking videos about police brutality and climate protests. It echoes through classrooms, where teachers use it to frame critical discussions about history and social justice. It's even a rallying cry at protests, chanted and sung by a new generation fighting for a better world. In 2025, the question Marvin asked still resonates louder than ever: what's going on? Before 1971, Marvin Gaye was the golden boy of Motown. He was smooth, charming, and, above all, profitable. Hits like I Heard It Through the Grapevine made him one of the most bankable stars in music. But behind the fame and the million-dollar smile was a man deeply troubled by the state of the world. The late 1960s and early 1970s were turbulent years in America. The Vietnam War was tearing families apart, sending young men to their deaths and leaving survivors scarred and broken. Marvin's own younger brother, Frankie Gaye, had just returned from Vietnam with stories of unimaginable horrors. Frankie's letters home, filled with vivid details of war, haunted Marvin, forcing him to confront the human cost of the conflict. At the same time, America was grappling with the aftermath of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., widespread civil rights protests, and the deep scars of systemic racism. Cities were burning, and police brutality was rampant. All of this weighed heavily on Marvin's heart. Told from the perspective of a returning Vietnam veteran, the album was a concept piece, a musical journey through a world in crisis. It wasn't just about the war. It tackled some of the most pressing issues of the time, many of which remain painfully relevant in 2025. Mercy Mercy Me, The Ecology, was a haunting warning about environmental destruction. Marvin sang about pollution and the exploitation of natural resources, decades before the climate crisis became a global emergency. Inner City Blues, Make Me Wanna Holler, captured the despair of urban poverty, systemic racism, and economic inequality. Its lyrics, filled with frustration and pain, painted a vivid picture of life in America's neglected inner cities. Save the Children was a plea for compassion and hope, urging listeners to think about the next generation. The album's sound was as revolutionary as its message. Lush orchestral arrangements, jazzy saxophones, and layered vocals created a sonic landscape that felt both intimate and epic. Critics raved about its innovation. Rolling Stone called it a masterpiece, and the New York Times praised its courage. But more than that, What's Going On became the soundtrack of social consciousness. It wasn't just an album, it was a call to action. While Marvin Gaye was creating one of the most important albums in history, his personal life was unraveling. He battled depression, cocaine addiction, and a strained relationship with his father, who had been abusive toward Marvin for much of his life. Marvin's sensitivity and introspection, which gave his music its unique depth, also made him vulnerable to the weight of the world. Marvin wasn't preaching at his audience, he was pleading with them. He wasn't offering solutions but asking questions. His vulnerability and honesty are what make What's Going On timeless. It was the voice of a man who felt the world's pain as his own. Marvin no longer wanted to sing just love songs. He felt a moral duty to say something, to use his platform to speak truth to power. The spark for this came from an unlikely source, Ronaldo "Obi" Benson of the Four Tops, who had witnessed police brutality during a 1969 protest in Berkeley. Benson wrote the initial version of What's Going On and brought it to Marvin, who reshaped it into something deeply personal and universal. The result wasn't just a song, it was a movement. It was spiritual, political, and profoundly human. When Marvin presented What's Going On to Berry Gordy, the legendary head of Motown, the response was anything but enthusiastic. Gordy, who had built Motown into a powerhouse of polished, feel-good hits, dismissed the song outright. He called it uncommercial and too political. Motown wasn't in the business of protest music. Gordy feared that a song criticizing war, violence, and systemic injustice would alienate listeners and hurt the label's bottom line. For him, Marvin's idea was too risky, too radical. But Marvin was unwavering. He wasn't just a singer, he was a man on a mission. He believed in the message of What's Going On so deeply that he refused to record any more music unless Motown released the track. It was a bold gamble, but Marvin knew it was worth it. In January 1971, Motown finally relented. The single was released, and the world responded immediately. It shot to the top of the R&B charts, reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and sold millions of copies. The song's success was undeniable. Marvin's question, "What's going on?" resonated in the hearts of millions. The success of the single paved the way for the release of the album What's Going On in May 1971. But this wasn't just another album, it was a groundbreaking masterpiece, unlike anything Motown had ever produced.
Fast forward to 2025, and What's Going On has found a new audience in a world grappling with many of the same issues Marvin sang about more than 50 years ago. On TikTok, the song is used in videos about climate protests, police brutality, and student activism. Young creators pair Marvin's soulful voice with images of wildfires, marches, and acts of resistance. His lyrics, "Picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality," feel as relevant now as they did in 1971. In schools, What's Going On is being taught as a historical and cultural artifact, a window into the struggles of the past that still resonate today. Documentaries about global unrest use Marvin's music to frame their narratives. Even on Spotify and YouTube, the song is experiencing a resurgence, with millions of streams from listeners who weren't even born when Marvin wrote it. Why does What's Going On still matter in 2025? Because the problems Marvin sang about haven't gone away. Racism, war, environmental destruction, and economic injustice continue to plague the world. And Marvin's song remains a powerful reminder of the need for compassion, empathy, and action. What makes the song timeless is its tone. Marvin wasn't angry, he was heartbroken. He wasn't just criticizing society, he was mourning it. And yet, beneath the sadness, there was hope, a belief that love and understanding could heal the world. Marvin Gaye didn't just create music, he created meaning. In What's Going On, he gave the world more than a song. He gave us a mirror to reflect on ourselves, a prayer for a better future, and a protest against the injustices of the world. Over 50 years later, it remains one of the greatest albums ever recorded, not just for its sound, but for its soul. The industry doubted it. The label tried to kill it. But the people kept it alive. In 2025, Marvin Gaye's voice is not a whisper from the past, it's a cry for the future. So the next time you hear it playing, pause. Listen. Feel it.
Marvin Gaye's What's Going On was more than a song when it was first released in 1971, it was a revolution. Born from Marvin's heartbreak over war, racism, and injustice, it challenged the music industry, defied Motown's polished image, and gave a raw, emotional voice to the struggles of an entire generation. Fast forward to 2025, and the power of this song is as alive as ever. From TikTok protests to classroom discussions, Marvin's timeless lyrics, "Picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality," resonate with a world still grappling with many of the same issues: climate change, police brutality, systemic inequality, and war. His voice has become a bridge between past and present, inspiring new generations to ask the same haunting question: what's going on? Marvin's ability to combine heartbreak, hope, and a call for unity makes his music eternal. His story reminds us of the power of art to challenge, to heal, and to inspire. What's Going On isn't just a masterpiece, it's a mirror, reflecting a world that still yearns for justice and love. If you enjoyed this story about Marvin Gaye's legacy and how his music still shapes our world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more stories like this.